what on earth was Joe Biden saying? Matthew Bryza joins me now, who's a former White House and senior State Department official who was in the Obama administration. Matthew, thank you very, very much indeed for joining me here on Talk. What did you make of the debate last night? Be honest.
Russell, it was an utter catastrophe for Joe Biden. It was bad for Donald Trump, too, but if it's a catastrophe for Biden, then it's a win for Trump. And the poll right after that was taken, you know, the snap poll after, so it was like 67% to 33% of polled Americans said Trump won. That would be the first debate he ever won. And, you know, Democratic
sorry, Matthew, can I just stop you? So 33% of Americans think Biden won that debate last night?
No. Oh, yeah, only 33%. 67% believe that Trump won. Yeah.
But 33% of Americans think Biden won last night. Is that, am I being clear here? I mean, really?
Yeah, and it's I can't imagine who those people are.
No, exactly my point. Seriously?
What
were they watching? Are they that biased and that deluded insofar as partisan politics that they think that display last night from Joe Biden was cognitive and convincing?
Yes, Russell, absolutely. As an anecdote, a friend of mine who lives in Los Angeles, who is a diehard Democratic activist, watched it. He said, "Oh, I think Biden did pretty well." I said, "Seriously, are you under the influence of something right now?" He said, "Actually, yes, I am." So it's
wow. so sorry, hang on. This gets better and better and better. So you've got 33% of Americans think last night was a victory for Biden, and then the people commenting on it that think Biden won admit then to being drunk.
Yeah, a friend of mine, actually. Yes, some of them.
Wow.
For sure.
I mean, don't mention his name, for goodness sake. It wouldn't be fair. But is he someone of influence in the political community?
He used to be. He's not anymore. But he used to be. He used to be involved in campaigns. Yeah.
Wow. So, look, there's all sorts of implications to this. I mean, the fact that he's clearly not fit to be president now, let alone running another term. So this would, you know, I mean, that's very obvious and clear to anyone that's right-minded. What is going on? I mean, you've been at the inner sanctum of the Democrat Party, presumably around, you know, chattering in previous years and decades around who should be president, why they should be president, and so on. What on earth has gone on over the last months and years with regard to a Democrat Party that somehow think Joe Biden is fit to serve another term?
Well, just to be transparent, I was a career diplomat, but I was working in the White House, and so I was, in that realm. That was for Republican President George W. Bush at that time. I think what's going on is that there's a tendency in that inner sanctum of a president. It is a very powerful and intimidating environment, and people's egos grow huge. And then there's a desire to circle the wagons, as we say in colloquial American English, and protect the president. So therefore, there's a filtering out of bad news, telling the boss what the boss wants to hear. And in this case, the inner sanctum, I think, is Biden's family, as well as a few political aides. One of the former political aides, her name is Kate Bedingfield. She is always out there until today, defending Biden, no matter how inept and how old and incapable he looked. Today, in the commentary, or last night on Biden's performance, she said, it was terrible. It was a failure.
I saw that. So even she can no longer defend him.
Even she, but still, I think, you know, what the top leadership of the Democratic Party is now going to do is, I think, appeal to Jill Biden and say, for the good of the country and your husband, please have him step down while we still have time.
Yeah, let him retire gracefully. And how much influence do the Clintons and the Obamas have over what's going on right now, do you think?
Very little, very little. I had the honor of, very little. Not Obama himself, but his former chief political operative and strategist, David Axelrod, has come out publicly months ago and said Biden needs to step aside. He's just not going to make it. So, but when it comes to if there's a conversation with Joe Biden, if Obama were to have that conversation, or Hillary Clinton, of course that would have an impact. But on the other hand, as human beings that are part of the inner sanctum of Biden, the inner sanctum might think, well, these are people that had been powerful. Now they're jealous of President Biden, or they had their day. We don't trust their judgment. So it's going to have to be a unified top level leadership of the Democratic Party moment where they all appeal, I think, to the Biden.
And Matthew, do you think that happens now after the performance last night, given that there's 5 months left to go of campaigning, travelling, debates, rallies? Do you think that those that are of the most influence in the US Democrat party, the circle, do you think they now start to step up to the Biden family and say, hey, come on, enough's enough. This is cruel. And it's not just cruel, as I was just rehearsing here with Charlie Rowley. The fact that this is the man that has the ultimate power, almost, as a Western leader, the man that can decide on wars and, the use of nuclear weapons, goodness forbid. I mean, this is not just tragic and cruel from a human perspective. This is very, very dangerous indeed, isn't it?
It is, Russell. And so reporting coming in is that that's already happening. So on the CNN analysis, immediately after the debate, a couple of the reporters were saying, my WhatsApp screen is just alight with messages from senior Democrats saying, oh, my God, disaster, we have to get
And this is CNN. I mean, they're hardly a right-leaning news organization.
No, not at all.
Wow.
And these are far left people that were saying these things.
And the two of them last night, they spent about 10 minutes talking about golf. Should we have a quick look at that, Matthew? Just stay there for a second. This was quite incredible.
Can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
Yeah, the gallery here just shouting at me saying, hey, what a revelation. We're now in a situation, or the US electorate are in a situation where they might have to decide on which should be president between Trump and Biden based on which one can hit a ball the furthest on a golf course. That was a very, very weird interlude, wasn't it? And frankly, actually, when Biden talks about a driving competition, I hope it's not one where he gets behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't imagine talking about my sporting prowess or lack thereof in my 8th grade student council president election. I mean, that's ridiculous. And in this case, there is an underlying issue, which is about, vitality and youthfulness and the ability to move one's body. I think that's what Trump was getting at. But then it just veered way off of the substance into childishness. Yeah, it's yes. Utterly ridiculous. And the world must be terrified that the world's only superpowers leader is going to be one of these two people, as you said, in the lead up. This is a clown fest. And it's, yes, the decisions about going to war or peace or using nuclear weapons are, of course, the most important on earth. Yeah. People I know that are still in the system say Biden still is okay in private, good in private in analyzing these various decisions, but that's not what counts now. He's shown that he simply doesn't have the stamina, the vitality, and the intellectual, physical acumen to perform the job. And even worse, not even worse, but for Americans, the big fear is that if and when Trump is reelected, he's going to begin dismantling the checks and balances in our democratic system. And
I think, Matthew, the only consolation here in Britain is that I'm afraid Biden and Trump make our leaders and potential leaders look competent, which I never thought I'd be able to say, really. And one final question. Do you think if Biden is not replaced, if the Democrat Party doesn't kind of rally round and realise sense, do you think it's because perhaps there are certain people within his circle that quite like a lame president on the basis that they can control him?
Wow, it's a fascinating question. I have to honestly say, given my own experience, no, I don't think so. I've seen, how that stuff works in real life, and people are really trying to get to the best decisions.
Yeah, but he can't make decisions, Matthew. So other people are making those decisions and strongly suggesting, Mr. President, that we should do this, strongly suggesting, Mr. President, that we should do that. I mean, that's quite a nice position to be in, I guess. If you're a chief of staff, let's say, or a wannabe politician that's climbing the greasy pole of Washington politics, it's a lovely position to be in, isn't it? If you can basically tell the president what to do because he's not got the sense to know whether it's right or wrong himself.
Yeah, it is. But knowing some of these people personally, that's not the type of people that I've ever experienced in my dealings with them over many years. But you're right. It makes a great thriller movie, but
it does.
But I don't think that's
and Matthew, look, before you go, you talk about the type of people. Can we just talk about Jill Biden for a second? I don't want to cast aspersions on Jill Biden unfairly, but it does seem to me, and lots of our audience here, so whether it be by text or by phone call and WhatsApp message, are really highlighting the cruel nature of the Biden family allowing this to continue. Now, Jill Biden, she might not be a medical doctor, but she's a doctor. I think she's a doctor of education, actually. To be watching what's going on here and to see Joe Biden humiliated, it's unbelievable to me that a family, so from a human perspective, would allow this to continue. You have to ask the question. I'm going to ask you the question because I presume that you've rubbed shoulders with her in the corridors of power. What sort of woman is Jill Biden to allow this to continue?
I think I think she thinks she's being protective of her husband, hoping that he would be able to repeat his performance in March at the State of the Union address, or February, where Biden did a great job in delivering a speech. And really kind of energized his support base. But this was not a speech. This was sort of free-flow debate. And I think she also had thought that because her husband did defeat Donald Trump, he's best positioned to do it again. But I think now...
And Matthew, sorry to interrupt. I don't know if you can see this. This is the end of the debate. This is Jill Biden escorting her frail husband off of the debate stage. I mean, I can't put it any different way to that. I mean, is this okay?
No, it's not okay. And she apparently shouted at him, "You did a good job. You answered all the questions. That's a pretty low bar." No, it's not okay. And my guess is she's a very decent person, and I think she's probably going to be nudging him now to leave the race. If she doesn't, then all the conspiracies that you suggested a moment ago maybe are true. But I think she's going to encourage him to get out.
All right. Well, I think he should step down, and I think anyone that respects him and loves him should encourage him to do exactly that. Matthew Bryza, thank you very much indeed for your contribution.